Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. And this Dynamite wasn't live. They actually taped. They actually taped it because AEW has been taping their Dynamite shows for the upcoming weeks, so they're not going live. So in the upcoming weeks, you'll be seeing taped Dynamite shows. But Dynamite tonight, I thought it was a good show. I really enjoyed Dynamite tonight. We saw a really cool, awesome women's match between Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida. We saw the best friends, Chucky T and Trent, versus Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa. And we actually saw Brodie Lee in a match. It was, of course, a squash match to build Brodie Lee up, more because, of course, he's the Exalted One. And in the main event, it was the first round match for the TNT Championship, which is the new belt that was announced, that AEW announced. That's going to be coming soon. And I gave my prediction on who I think is going to win the championship. If you saw, last week's Dynamite video, my review, like my prediction for who's going to win the title, it's going to be Darby Allin. By far, it's going to be Darby Allin. So that's my prediction. I mean, Darby Allin, by how much, big that they're building him up. I see him holding that championship. I see him holding the TNT championship. He's going to be the first ever to hold it. That's my prediction. Maybe wrong on that, but when you look at Darby Allin, he seems like a championship guy. So we saw that tonight in the main event, Cody versus Shawn Spears. All in all, it was, like I said, it was a good Dynamite tonight. From it being taped and not live. But let's jump right into the Dynamite review. So, Dynamite opened up tonight with Jake the Snake Roberts. He sat down in a chair, and he ended up saying, "My history will not be my destiny." Jake Roberts ended up asking if someone steps in the ring and would think they have a prayer against his client, Lance Archer. He ended up saying that if someone does, they're done. So he ends up saying, we saw what happened with Marco Stunt last week on Dynamite. And Jake Roberts ended up calling him an idiot for trying to challenge Lance Archer. So Roberts ended up telling Cody to not let his match tonight against Shawn Spears slip. So Cody doesn't have to face Lance Archer. So Jake Roberts ended up asking Cody, "Are you a man or a mouse?" And that's how the promo from Jake Roberts ended. So, but really good promo from Jake Roberts. So building up more to when Cody faces Lance Archer. And then we went to the ring. We saw, of course, once again, AEW's roster of talent sitting ringside, watching the match, trying to get a reaction as the match is going on, which I'm really enjoying. They actually care about their fans. doing that. And then you see WWE and you get none of their talent at ringside, reacting to the match, that is happening. So you get none of that. But like I said, hopefully AEW keeps on doing this week after week after week. Have some of their talent right there at ringside, watching the match, and make some noise to, give the match, a little bit, entertaining, to keep the fans at home and the match, entertaining. So, but we saw, a few of their talent there at ringside, like we saw Jimmy Havoc, the new AEW signee, Anna Jay. We saw her. It was announced that she signed with AEW. We saw her in the match last week, and we saw Jack Evans, Sammy Guevara, out there, and we had on the commentary booth, we had Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho, Le Champion, on commentary. And I gotta say, I really loved Jericho's commentary throughout this whole show. Highly entertaining on commentary. I wish that they would make him, permanent on commentary. Even though Excalibur, he does, an okay job on commentary, but I would listen to Jericho on commentary more than Excalibur. I'd rather listen to Jericho and JR, Jim Ross, and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Cody, when he was on commentary, last week and a few weeks back, he was pretty decent. But Jericho, tonight throughout this whole show, did a excellent job. Did a good job on commentary. He was funny. He was entertaining. But it was quite a listen to hear Jericho tonight. But the first match that kicked off Dynamite was a squash match. Lance Archer versus Alan Engels. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But it was a squash match. Lance Archer got in the ring. He ended up dropping Alan Engels. And Archer was dominating on him. Ended up doing a one-handed suplex, overhead suplex, which looked awesome. And Arch ended up running into Alan Engels with a big elbow. Archer then lifted him up over his shoulders and delivered the blackout. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Lance Archer ended up winning the match. Squash match. This is just a way for them to build up Lance Archer even more and to make him look, stronger. But squash match. And so after that, we went to Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida. And this was a really enjoyable match. This is probably, in my opinion, both of these women's best matches. This is Britt Baker's best match, in my opinion, here. Hikaru Shida's best match. You had Hikaru Shida. She ended up dropping Britt Baker. And Hikaru Shida ended up delivering a few forearm shots to Britt Baker. And that led to Baker end up bailing out of the ring. They went back and forth. And a point where Hikaru Shida ends up throwing a kick to Britt Baker. She ends up missing. Britt Baker ends up rolling her up. Hikaru Shida ends up kicking out. Sheeta went right into an armbar. And Britt Baker got to the bottom rope. Britt Baker ended up delivering a sling blade and a butterfly suplex to Hikaru Shida. and went for the pin. Sheeta kicked out at 2, and there was a point where Britt Baker ended up going for the lockjaw. Hikaru Shida was able to get a foot on the ropes, and they were trading, back and forth shots. Hikaru Shida ended up delivering a Michinoku driver. And now we saw Britt Baker busted open from her nose. Baker ended up going for, a lockjaw again. She ends up locking it in. She wants the referee to give her a glove. She ended up going for the mandible claw on Hikaru Shida, but Hikaru Shida ended up fighting her off. So Britt Baker ended up delivering a kick to Hikaru Shida's face. And then we see a bloody Britt Baker was smiling at the camera, which is the thumbnail to this video that I put as the thumbnail. And Britt Baker was on the apron. She was throwing forearms to Hikaru Shida. Sheeta ended up bringing Britt Baker up to the second rope. Britt Baker ended up breaking Hikaru Shida's eyes. She ended up kicking Sheeta off of the ropes. And towards the end of the match, Hikaru Shida delivered a running knee strike to Britt Baker. Went for the pin. And there you go. Hikaru Shida ended up winning the match, defeating Britt Baker. But this was a really enjoyable women's match. This, in my opinion, like I said, was both of these women's best matches. Best match so far in AEW. But good match, good women's match. And then we saw footage of what was filmed earlier in the day. We saw Kenny Omega and his friend Michael Nakazawa. Kenny Omega was talking to him, and Kenny Omega was telling him that he's feeling super nostalgic since they, haven't tagged in years. And Kenny Omega was asking Nakazawa that they need a tag team name. Nakazawa ends up telling Kenny Omega, their new tag name should be the Best Friends. Kenny Omega ended up telling Nakazawa that they already have a team with that name. Of course, Chucky T and Trent, along with freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. So Nakazawa ends up saying that Kenny Omega is an EVP. Of course he is. He was the EVP of AEW. And Kenny Omega ended up responding to Nakazawa, saying that he'll think about it. He'll think about, them calling them the Best Friends. So, out of nowhere, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, he came out randomly from a room. And then we see Trent and Chuck Taylor, Chucky T, comes in and they said that they heard everything and that they don't appreciate Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa trying to take their name and also their livelihood. So both Trent and Chucky T end up saying to both of them, to Omega and Nakazawa, that whoever wins their match gets the Best Friend's name. And pretty much that was basically that. But there you go. Whoever won the match between Kenny Omega, Michael Nakazawa versus Chucky T and Trent, the Best Friends. Whoever won, they get the Best Friend's name. And so, after that, we had the AEW rankings, and Jake Hager, Hikaru, Sheeta, and the Dark Order were all at number one in their divisions. So we saw that. And then we saw the recap of the feud between Moxley and Hager. Hager ended up saying that he fights to provide for the people he cares about. So they end up showing clips of him training. And Jake Hager's wife was in this video recap. So Hager's wife ended up saying that in their house, they come back winners or don't come back at all. So Moxley ends up commenting saying how he hit Hager with his DDT, but found himself in an ankle lock. He ended up calling that a humbling moment. And he says, but since this is no holds barred, that changes things for him, for Hager. So Hager ended up saying that Moxley will get hit harder than he's ever been hit before. And Hager ended up saying that he wants to be both the AEW World Champion and also the Bellator Champion, in MMA. So that was a pretty decent recap with Moxley and Hager. It's built to their no holds barred empty arena match, which is going to be happening next week on Dynamite. So that's going to be a crazy match next week. And then we saw Cody Rhodes. He ended up talking about how Warner Media, who owns TNT and TBS, the whole Turner stuff, he ends up saying that they wanted the TNT Championship. They ended up saying that they wanted the belt to represent not only the promotion, but the channel as well. Of course, they're on TNT. And Cody ended up saying that with his record, it's appropriate for him to be in the tournament for the TNT Championship. And then we had Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears ended up saying, winning the match and the TNT Championship will be a way to put him on the map. And he ended up saying that he's been waiting 8 months to get his rematch. So Shawn Spears ended up talking about hitting Cody with a chair. And he says he'd do that again in a heartbeat. And Cody was saying that he doesn't think Shawn Spears will ever beat him. So there you go. We have, Cody and Shawn Spears taking on each other in the main event, the first round match in the tournament for the TNT Championship. And then we had best friends, Chucky T and Trent, along with freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa. So we had the best friends come out, and Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa. And Shawn Spears was shown in the crowd. And Shawn Spears was shouting at Nakazawa to impress him, for Nakazawa to impress Shawn Spears. And that he's still looking for a tag partner. And of course, like I said earlier, The winner of this match, whether it be Kenny Omega, Michael Nakazawa, or the Best Friends, the winner of this match gets the name of the Best Friends. So, Chucky T and Kenny Omega start the match. Kenny Omega gets in a wrist lock. Chucky T ended up getting out of it, but he then took a shoulder tackle from Kenny Omega. Chucky T delivered a couple of arm drags to Kenny Omega. Trent came in, did a double axe handle on Kenny Omega. He was the lead man in the match. Kenny Omega tags in Michael Nakazawa. Nakazawa ended up delivering a chop to Trent's chest. Trent ended up landing a chop of his own to Nakazawa. Michael Nakazawa we saw him end up putting baby oil on his chest, and he ended up asking Trent to chop him again. And Trent ends up chopping Nakazawa. And Kenny Omega came back into the ring, did some stomps. And there's a point where Orange Cassidy comes into the ring after Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa were out of the ring. And they go for a hug, but Kenny Omega and Nakazawa pull Chucky T and Trent out of the ring. They go for their own hug. Orange Cassidy ends up sliding out of the way. And Nakazawa ends up spraying baby oil, on Trent and Chucky T. And he goes to do it to Orange Cassidy. He ends up spraying him, but his glasses blocked it. Orange Cassidy's glasses end up blocking him spraying the oil. And Nakazawa ends up taking the glasses off, tosses them. Cassidy had another pair of glasses on him. So Nakazawa ended up trying it again, spraying the oil. No luck. And the referee was distracted, so Orange Cassidy ended up delivering a suicide dive on Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega and Chucky T were back in the ring. Kenny Omega ended up chopping down both Chucky T and Trent. And towards the end of the match, you had the Best Friends, Chucky T and Trent. And Trent ended up delivering a jumping pile driver, and then ended up hitting a strong zero on Nakazawa, and pretty much went for the cover. Trent went for the cover, and there you go. The Best Friends end up winning the match. So, I mean, I knew that the Best Friends were going to win this match because they said that the winner of this match will get the name of the Best Friends. And I'm like, yeah, Best Friends are going to win. I mean, predictable, but, good predictable. But overall, the match itself, it was entertaining. It was a decent match. And so then we saw the Exalted One, Brodie Lee. Brodie Lee was shown driving up to a building to meet some of his followers of the Dark Order. One of them was wearing a tie. The other two weren't wearing any ties. So Brodie Lee ended up calling them out for how they look. He ended up saying that he wants to make every single life he touches extraordinary. And he ended up saying how his followers, how they look is important. So he ended up telling them to get their act together and show them that they want it. he then tells one of the followers with the tie that he has an opportunity. So Brodie Lee and this follower ends up heading into the building, and pretty much that was basically that. And then the show went to, then Dynamite went to commercial. More Brodie Lee. So Brodie Lee was also in the match, which was the next match that we saw tonight. So then when Dynamite came back from commercial, we saw Britt Baker. Britt Baker was backstage. She was getting interviewed and got asked about her match earlier in the night. And they were also saying that she thinks Hikaru Shida is number one in the AEW Women's Division. Britt Baker ends up saying, "No way." She says being number one is about being a leader. She ends up calling Hikaru Shida the dirtiest person she's been in the ring with. She ended up going on to say that Hikaru Shida is just lucky she didn't mess up her teeth, and that she could have fixed them anyways. Of course, because Britt Baker is a dentist. So Britt Baker thinking that she is number one in the women's division. The AEW women's division has been getting a lot better. The matches in the women's division have been getting a lot better. So we'll see how the division progresses, as it goes on. But it's getting better. So then we saw more clips of Moxley and Hager. Moxley was wondering if Hager has what it takes to dig down deeper than him. And Hager was saying, nobody is better suited for a no-holds-barred match than he is. And Moxley ended up saying that there's no scorecards or judges. And he says Hager's only option is to go through him. And Moxley ended up saying, I'm going to fuck you up to Jake Hager. So, pretty good clips. I liked how Moxley replied to that in the end, where he's going to fuck up Jake Hager in a no-holds-barred match next week. So then, after that, we went to the Hardy compound, and I really enjoyed this whole thing at the Hardy compound. So Matt Hardy was shown. He responds to Chris Jericho and the comments that Jericho made last week. Matt Hardy ends up saying that Jericho made fun of the Elite, but he should look at the guys that he surrounds himself with. He ends up calling Sammy Guevara a false god, because of course Sammy Guevara is known as the Spanish god. So Matt Hardy ends up saying that he will devour Santana and Ortiz. He ended up calling Jake Hager Jakenstein, and that he just needs 2 bolts in his neck to complete the process. Of course, like Frankenstein. He ended up saying that he didn't appreciate Jericho trying to recruit Vanguard 1. And Matt Hardy was asking Vanguard 1 for Jericho's shirt, which Vanguard 1 took, last week. If you've seen the promo with Jericho in it, where Jericho was in his jacuzzi, which That promo was really funny, how the way Vanguard won. Ended up taking Jericho's shirt. So Vanguard won, ended up saying that it's a dumpster fire. Jericho's shirt is a dumpster fire. So the shirt was shown being burned in a fire pit. So Matt Hardy then invited Jericho to come to the Hardy compound and face him in the Elite Deletion. But yeah, Matt Hardy calling out Jericho, inviting Jericho to come to the Hardy compound. So that's going to be cool. Possibly seeing them go at it. Going to be really interesting. And then we had Brodie Lee versus Lee Johnson, which this was a squash match. Another match to make Brodie Lee look strong and build him up. So we had Lee Johnson. He ended up trying to go for a drop kick, but Brodie Lee ended up dodging it. Brodie Lee ended up dropping Lee Johnson. And Brodie Lee ended up delivering a big boot. Ended up staring down Marco Stunt, who was watching from ringside. Brodie Lee ended up delivering a senton back to the ring on Lee Johnson. And then Brodie Lee ended up delivering a discus clothesline. Went for the cover. There you go. Brodie Lee ended up winning the match. But overall, squash match. Just a way to make Brodie Lee, look more strong and build him up even more. And then we had the main event. Cody versus Shawn Spears. First round match in the TNT Championship tournament. Very good match between the both of them. This is the second time that both these guys are in a match. And before the match, they showed the history between the both of them, with clips from the first time that they met in the ring, which Cody got the win in that match. So the match itself, this was a good match. Cody ended up getting the best of Shawn Spears, and Shawn Spears ended up heading to the ropes. We got back and forth between the both of them. Cody ended up delivering a big boot to Shawn Spears, went for a few covers. Spears ended up kicking out of them. Cody went for a awesome looking moonsault, but he didn't get it because Spears ended up moving out of the way. Spears ended up delivering a pile driver. Both of them were brawling on the outside. And chops were being delivered from Cody to Spears in the corner. Shawn Spears ended up launching Cody across the ring. Cody ended up rolling out to the floor, and Shawn Spears ended up delivering a kick from the ring apron. And we see Shawn Spears end up pulling a piece of the guardrail off, and he leaned it against the apron. Cody then threw Spears' face into the ring apron. Spears ended up suplexing Cody on the guardrail. And towards the end of the match, you had Cody lock in the figure four, and Spears ended up laying both shoulders on the mat, on the canvas, and he doesn't realize the 3 count. And so Cody ended up winning the match. He wins the first round match in the TNT Championship tournament. Of course, pretty much knew that Cody was going to win it. Pretty much knew Cody was going to be in this tournament. So now Cody ends up moving to the next round, and he will either face Sammy Guevara or Darby Allin. I mean, can you imagine seeing Cody versus Darby Allin? That would be a awesome match. That'll probably be the best match of the night, if it ever takes place. I would really like to see Cody versus Darby Allin. I don't want to see him versus Sammy Guevara. That's just an easy win for Cody right there. Sammy Guevara is a good talent in the ring. He's, entertaining in the ring, but I would rather see Cody versus Darby Allin. No Sammy Guevara. So next week, it's going to be in this first round tournament for the TNT Championship. So next week, we will be seeing on Dynamite Colt Cabana versus Lance Archer. And whoever wins the match, whether it be Cabana or Archer, they will take on either Dustin Rhodes or Kip Sabian. So that's going to be really interesting to see next week. That's going to be a good match with Cabana and Lance Archer. That's going to be one hell of a match. And that was how Dynamite went off the air with Cody winning the match and moving to the next round. But all in all, Dynamite tonight, like I said, it was a good show. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the match between Cody Rhodes and Shawn Spears, and seeing Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida, both of their best matches together. Yeah. So, anyways, that's it for Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review, and definitely give the video a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe, and until next video, which it will possibly be the Friday Night SmackDown review. So until that video, I'll see you all later.